Women's sport took a giant leap forward on January 25, 2023, as it saw the birth of the 5 teams that will be part of a dream that long remained deferred but now is on the threshold of being born. On Wednesday, Indian cricket ushered in a new era with the announcement of the 5 teams that will operate at what the Indian Cricket Board said would be called the Women's Premier League or the WPL, and the 5 cities these teams would be operating out of. Hi, my name is Annesha Ghosh and I will be breaking down some of the highlights of the team ownership bid for the WPL that took place in Mumbai on Wednesday, January 25th, with 3 existing IPL team owners in Royal Challengers Bangalore, Mumbai Indians and Delhi Capitals, alongside new entrants like the Adani Group and Capri Global winning the bids. The 5 winners were part of a total pool of 16 bidders who participated in the bid in Mumbai on Wednesday, and these additional 11 bidders were 369 Slingshot Sports Ventures Private Limited, Amrit Leela Enterprises Private Limited, APL Sports Private Limited, KPH Dream Cricket Private Limited, Knight Riders Sports Private Limited, Om Industries Limited or Haldirams, Royal Multisport Private Limited, Shriram Value Services Limited, Sun TV Network Limited, Torrent Investments Private Limited, and Yadu International Limited. A question that has emerged following the announcement of the 5 winning bidders is, why is the tournament being called the WPL or the Women's Premier League and not the Women's Indian Premier League or a WIPL? The most obvious rationale that could go some way towards explaining the choice of the name on the part of the BCCI is the fact that the closed bid process that the BCCI undertook to invite interested entities to own WPL teams were thrown open to companies that already had teams in the current 10 franchise men's IPL setup, as well as to entities outside the IPL ecosystem. That is also probably why the official communication that the BCCI had sent out to its state associations for player registrations for this upcoming Women's T20 League did not explicitly mention Women's IPL anywhere. Instead, the document stated that the player registration process for the upcoming player auctions would be for what the BCCI at the time was calling the Women's T20 League. This was, however, a departure from the wording in the invitation to tender for team ownership document that the BCCI had put out in the form of an advertisement on their website earlier this month. On Wednesday, the confusion over whether this new Women's T20 tournament would be called the Women's IPL or the Women's T20 League was eventually laid to rest, with 2 out of the final 5 winning bids coming from non-IPL franchise holding entities. So it looks like a logical thing to do on the part of the BCCI as far as their intention of keeping the Women's League devoid of any direct branding specific affiliation with the men's IPL goes. Now, some of you may argue if leaving the qualifier Indian from brand WPL robs the tournament of, let's say, the national identity that brand men's IPL enjoys by dint of being called the Indian Premier League. Also, does it weaken the possibility of the immediate correlation that having Indian in the name of the tournament helps the layperson make in their mind between, say, the country running the league and the league itself? Well, to a certain extent, maybe yes. But if you take into consideration the fact that this new women's tournament, the Women's Premier League, is now the 2nd richest cricket league in the world across men's and women's cricket and is second only to the men's IPL and is obviously run by the same National Cricket Governing Board as the men's IPL, the brand value of the WIPL doesn't really stand to lose much, because strictly from a financial point of view, the value it has generated already is prodigious. And that's largely down to the sale of the 5 teams on Wednesday in Mumbai that fetched the BCCI a whopping 4,670 crores or thereabouts in Indian currency, as well as the staggering 951 crores in Indian currency that the Indian Cricket Board raked in a few days ago through the sale of the media rights for the WPL. Now, if you add to this existing sum the money that the BCCI would be making through the sale of the title sponsorship rights and the official sponsorship rights, the eventual value of the WPL could end up being much higher. Now that the 5 teams for the Women's Premier League have been decided, what happens next? The BCCI is expected to put out a list of the players who've registered for the player auction for the WPL. The auction is likely to take place in the first week of February as things stand. The deadline for the player registration process for the Indian players, both capped and uncapped, is January 26th, that's Thursday. And if you're wondering what the total number of matches might be for the inaugural WPL, which is expected to start in the first week of March, it was gathered at a media interaction that some of the BCCI office bearers did following Wednesday's team announcement that the first edition of the competition will have around 22 matches, but whether or not the event takes place in one city or is spread out over a few others is still up for discussion. And as was floated earlier by the powers that be within the board, the cities of Mumbai and Navi Mumbai may not be the only two hosts for the inaugural edition of the WPL. I'll keep an ear to the ground and follow the proceedings closely, and while I do that, you can consider liking this video if you like the content I'm putting out, and also perhaps share it with your friends and family, and consider subscribing to my channel, and also perhaps let me know in the comments below. Now that the 5 teams have been decided, who do you reckon the 5 captains of these teams could be? Until next time, it's goodbye from me, Annesha.